We're joined live by Steven Guilbeault, the Federal Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Thank you very much for joining us, Minister. So first off, we have to talk about this because, we are in an era of inflation. The cost of this.
Well, first, it's important to understand that these regulations won't come into force before January 1st, 2035. And the costs you're talking about are cost in 2040. So there's no cost happening in the short to medium term. And people might be asking, well, why announce those regulations now if they only come into force 12 years from now? Because we need to send a signal to investors, to utility and energy companies that these will be the rules in terms of electricity production 12 years from now. And the costs you're talking about, these are costs that provinces and utilities will have to invest anyway, regardless of the regulation, because more people are driving electric vehicles, more companies are moving away from fossil fuels, so we need more electricity. So the costs you're referring to are the cost of those investments. What we want to make sure is the investments that are made to ensure we have as clean a grid as possible. So there'll still be some fossil fuels on the grid in 2035, but we want to minimize the amount and maximize the amount of renewables as we were seeing on your screen.
What does it mean to have a clean electricity grid?
It means less and less fossil fuels. So right now there's more than 300 natural gas plants producing electricity in Canada. That number would be reduced by more than 2/3 by 2035. And those natural gas plants, for example, that would still be in operation in 2035 would have to conform with very stringent environmental regulation when it comes to pollution. And basically what we want to ensure is in the coming years that the new investment that are made for electricity production are made in non-emitting sources. So solar, wind, battery storage. There's a number of technologies that are coming online to help us reduce our climate footprint. And we know how climate change has impacted Canadians over the summer this year and people all around the world, really. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Okay, and how does this all come together with what we are seeing happening between, Unifor and, the big three? We're talking about Ford, GM, Stellantis, and electric vehicles.
Well, that's a very good point. I mean, Volkswagen, for example, said that one of the main reasons they came to Canada is because we already have a grid that's low emitting, so largely more than 85%. But that's not enough because companies like Volkswagen and others are committing to produce net zero products. So whether it's cars, whether it's computers, whether it's phones, more and more companies are saying the products that we make, that we will be selling to our customers 10 years from now, will have to be net zero, so carbon neutral products. In order to do that, they need to go to jurisdictions that have very low emitting grid and net zero grid by 2035. And frankly, Canada is not the only country to do that. Our partners in the South, the United States, are doing the same thing, and the other G7 countries are doing the same as well.
And that's a great segue to our final question of where does this put Canada, where will this catapult Canada, rather, in the global community?
I mean, when it comes to producing non-emitting energy, Canada is among the leaders around the world, and we want to keep that leadership position because that's how we are attracting companies, and that's how we will continue to attract investments in the coming years to create good-paying jobs, to ensure we have a clean, affordable, and reliable grid in the coming decades.
Steven Guilbeault, Federal Minister of Environment and Climate Change, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Macari.